It goes back to the conversation about scarcity. Why can't I be a good father and a good son and a good husband and a great businessman? Why?
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. When people say, no, I had to make a choice, and no, you don't have to make a choice. No, that's a scarcity conversation you're having in your brain.
I completely challenge it. I think we've been fed that. Go be successful, just go make a lot of money, and that's going to fix everything else. And now I cannot count how many times we've proven that's not true or that doesn't work.
Right.
Right? Like, but I don't understand, hon. I worked so hard. I made all this money. She's like, yeah, but you're not present. You're never around. You're emotionally unavailable. So, all right, so I think that's a conversation that's just been sold to us.
Right.
But we have proven it over and over again. It doesn't work. So
Definitely.
like, why can't I? Why not me? Why can't I be an incredible father and husband and still earn and still be in shape and still have a deep spiritual life and take time off for myself and with my family? That's a whole different conversation. But I also agree with you. I think it's a conversation of abundance.
For sure.
That there's enough. There's enough time. There's enough money. There's enough element.
For sure. And I think, so this is my philosophy, right? If you're like me, right, I'm 30, I don't have any kids, I'm not married, I'm not in a committed relationship. So I dive into work because I choose to, right? Because I don't have any other priorities in my life. That's different. So if you're that guy, that's a totally different conversation, because if you're taking time off because you work a lot, I get it. But if you're taking all your time off, then you're lazy.
Totally. That's that temperance.
Definitely.
You got to know when you cross that threshold. Hold on, am I just being complacent and lazy here? Or am I actually like throttling back because this is what's good for my mental and emotional well-being? But this is a good point you bring up. And this is something I talk about all the time. You got to honor the season. If you're young and you're grinding and you're in this startup and like you're saying, I'm single, I'm not dude, go build your wealth. Don't get distracted. Like, build your wealth now. Honor the season that you're in. I'm in a different season than you are. I have different goals, different circumstances, and different considerations. That's what makes up a season. Your goals are the things that are worth striving for. Your circumstances are the data, the facts. This is where I'm at. This is how much money I have. This is where I live. And then the considerations are the things that require attention. I'm going to be a father in less than 7 days. That's a consideration for me that you don't have. So it's to be accurate. You honor the season you're in. Don't sit here and be like, well, what if I had a kid? You don't. Right? So honor that season. And engage in the season you're in.
For sure.
With everything you've got, knowing that all seasons change. And then be present to the new season. When you hit that goal, when your circumstances change, when you have new considerations, now you're in a new season. You know, no kids, bigger consideration.
Of course.
Young kids, old kids, different consideration.
Right.
Married, not married, different consideration. But where we struggle is we try to operate from an old season.
Yeah.
That season's long gone.
Right.
Or I'm in some fantasy of a new season where like life's just going to come and fix it all for me. No, it's not. It's not. Man, honor the season you're in and then watch as it evolves and changes, and then honor the next season and do it over and over again, and you'll be more accurate.
For sure.
You feel me?
Yeah, man. I'm all that's why I'm very conscious of the season of my life.
Yeah.
Very conscious of it. And I'm really diving in there. And I've felt the season before. When I was younger, I got into sales real young, and I dove head first because I understood I'm a kid. What else am I gonna do? I want to make money. All right. If I'm saying I want to do this, if I'm saying I want to be this type of man and have this kind of money and live this kind of life, but I'm taking actions that say otherwise,
right,
then we need to either change the goals or change our habits.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
So the conversation came down to, all right, so I need to change my habits, because if I know what's happening in every single Netflix series, then then I'm not on course.
Totally. If you could spit out every stat on like the NFL right now, meanwhile you're like, I don't know how I'm paying rent. You gotta reshift some priorities here. But
right.
There's so many men caught in that. So many.
This is an interesting dynamic, definitely, for sure. You got the distinction.
Yeah.
Comes down to distinction, right?
Totally.
Being aware of what season you're in, aware of your priorities, aware of what you're capable of, aware of what you want to be capable of. This, I mean, we could talk forever about this.
But that's, you know, like, I think as we get older and that wisdom and that maturity, I think a big part of it is that accuracy. Like, if you know, doing 300% of energy output in the wrong direction or bucket is not as valuable as 10% output with the correct aim.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd rather be accurate. That's something I think I've matured into over time.
There's, I've said this before. I'm sure you've heard the analogy of when a locomotive train isn't moving, you can put one single brick in front of the tire and it won't move. However, once it gets going, it'll smash through a brick wall, right? So when you're going in the right direction and you're in the right speed, momentum, takes over. Totally. Living in momentum it's better than any drug, is better than any beer, alcohol, all that garbage. Living in momentum is where it's at, man. I've been there. I've been there. Living in momentum.
Love it. I am in complete agreement. Because I think that feeling of well-constructed leverage, where I'm putting out a small amount of energy, but I'm getting a massive return, there's nothing like it, Rose. Nothing. It's so addictive, and you're like, wow, I'm just making my life easier, and then look at all this return I get. That to me that's that flow state, man.
For sure.
It's better than any drug.
Yeah, no. When your life goes from, because I've been the guy who couldn't figure it out when smashing his head on the wall, and then you make the small, tiniest transition, and you become King Midas. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah. and it wasn't because of energy output.
Nope.
It was because of accuracy. Yep, I totally agree.
So I'm sure you're familiar with Tony Robbins, right?
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, I saw this video he has on YouTube from a long time ago, and I saw it live as well. He said there's a plastic surgeon he trains where he mathematically wrote down in a book how to make someone beautiful, right? So he says if there's a certain distance between your upper lip and your nose, you're gorgeous. If it's 1 millimeter more, you're normal. If it's 2 millimeters more, you're dead ugly.
Wow.
He trained Tiger Woods, right? So Tiger Woods has a golf swing. If you hit a golf swing in a certain angle, it's going to go 400 yards. Shift it 1 millimeter, it's going to end up in the pond. 1 millimeter, right? He says, rocket ship that goes up to the moon. If it's at a certain angle, it's going to hit the moon directly. If you shift it 1 millimeter, it's going to end up on Mars.
Yeah.
Small.
That's it, man.
People think you have to make these big. No. Make these small corrections. Small, and they make the world of a difference. I've done it. I've done it in my life.
I think it's one of the biggest misconceptions to get over is that big results only come from big efforts. That's not true. Big results come from small efforts consistently executed over time.
Yes.
It's just, and then let it compound. And I think that's this mental trap that we get, at least young men and women get trapped in. It's like, no, it's got to be extra effort. I'm like, not necessarily. What are the little things that you're doing that guide you or aim you toward that greater goal? But also, too, what you're saying is, what are the habits and the ways you're operating that are taking you further away from it? It works both ways, and it compounds both ways.
Correct.
Right? So if you could just take those small little things and master the mundane and make sure that they're guided in that direction that calls to you, and make sure that those domains in life are prioritized, now just go rinse and repeat over and over again. Like, you would know better than me probably, like, the majority of Warren Buffett's wealth is all towards the later part of his life because he just let things compound.
Yep.
And those little things, they add up. And our mental conclusion that big things only come from big efforts is not always accurate.
It goes back to what's the old example? If you double a penny every day for 30 days, or would you take 10 grand up front or double a penny every day for 30 days? Most people, I'll take the 100 grand. Yeah. Well, you made a mistake because the penny doubled at the end of 30 days is $10 million,
Totally.
It's crazy. I don't know if you've read The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
No, I haven't.
It's a fantastic book, and that's exactly what it talks about. It's the effect of how things compound over time. He basically says, I'll beat anybody in anything because I'll outlast them.
I'll stay in the game.
Right.
Just stay in the game.
Right. So that's You're talking to a guy that's completely shifted. I mean, people consider me extroverted and a go-getter now. I wasn't like this a long time ago. I was not. Yeah. And people don't believe me. I was a really shy kid. I didn't like people. I hated people. I was antisocial. And it took, again, these just reading this book, go to this place, listen to this guy talk. And all those things put together made me now.
Yeah.
And it was just it was just putting together the pieces of the puzzle, you know? And the crazy thing is I'm not even done. That's the awesome thing. I look back and I see how far I've come, but then I look forward and it's like, man, look how much I have to go.
I'm just getting started.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
So exciting.
Yeah, but that's like, oh my God, like this season's amazing. Well, guess what? The next one's even better. As you stay conscious, as you stay present, as you stay prioritized, the seasons only get better. You know, I've got a little bit of a couple of years on you, but if you stay conscious, stay present, stay prioritized, like, stay principled, the seasons only get better. They only get better. That's not a guarantee, right? Like that's actually not a guarantee, because I always talk about without a commitment to mastery, mediocrity will just happen. You don't have to go out. You never have to go out of your way for mediocrity, ever. Just neglect the things that are important. Man. That's it, right? So it's not guaranteed. This incredible future is not guaranteed. Is it potential? Absolutely. However, it requires a commitment to mastery. It requires a commitment to stay in the game. It requires a commitment to stay present and principled and prioritized. But when you do that, you stay in the game. And the longer you're in the game, the greater your probability for success goes.
Man.
And so I'm not sitting here saying it's a guarantee. It's effort, it's accuracy, it's wisdom, it's temperance, it's priority, it's principle. But stay in the game with that and call me in a decade.
Right? People overestimate what they can do in a month, but they underestimate what they can do in a year,
Absolutely.
2 years, 5 years.
Absolutely.
You know, there's this. Have you ever read the Book of the Samurai?
No.
It's very good. I'll recommend it later. I'm not going to try to pronounce the author's name because it's Japanese and I'm going to butcher it.
Yeah.
But it's basically a samurai who kept a diary in the 1600s in feudal Japan a long time ago. And it's these small little excerpts, some are 2 pages long, some are a paragraph. And it's just these thoughts he would have. Samurais were some of the, again, I chase wisdom, right?
Yeah.
The wisdom in their culture is insane. Yeah. And in one of the excerpts, just to summarize it, it said, a master realizes he's never finished. There's no end. There's no I've arrived.
Love it.
The reason he was a master swordsman and he can beat anybody in a sword fight is because every day he practiced.
Kept that beginner mind.
Right? No matter how good he got.
Yeah.
And he did the same exercises and he practiced on the same dummy and he got on the same horse and
exactly.
And he was the sharpest in the country, you know?
That's the philosophy that I use with a lot of my clients is master the mundane. We spend, especially we were talking about being preoccupied and immature, is because we're all constantly trying to escape the mundane. What drug, what girl, what this, what, no man, master it. Master the mundane. Do the little things and do them over and over again with intention, with deliberateness, with purposefulness, and watch what starts to happen because it adjusts your aim and trajectory. You remind me of the story of the man that invented Aikido, the martial art Aikido. When he died, he insisted he was buried in his white belt.
Wow.
Because he always wanted to be remembered as a beginner mind. That he and here's the guy who invented it. He insisted, no, bury me in my white belt.